All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and I hope you are doing good here. So you are speaking here to Julian from Hyperion Dev, and I'll be one of your lecturers. So I'm working alongside Rian, Armand, and yeah, we're working all together to offer you software engineering. In this software engineering field, we have a couple of softwares that we'll want you to install, which are Python, and they are not limited to that. So you have Python, Git, and VS Code. It's just not limited to those three, but then we'll go step by step into um, installing those pieces of softwares. There will be one video after the other one. This first video will be about Git, and don't mind me looking on the side. My second monitor is on the other side, so we will basically go into installing Git. So we can start. This is a pretty old version of Mac OS. It's called Catalina. You may have an older version of it, but then what we want to do, we want to go to the Launchpad, right? And then we are looking for something called Terminal. So on the terminal here, you will be seeing the terminal. This will basically allow you to do a whole bunch of things. I'm very sure that some of you may not have, yeah, some of you haven't seen the terminal before, but then it does a whole lot of things. So what we want to do, we first of all want to check if you have Git installed by just typing Git here. When we type in here, it's not installed. And that's the second time I'm making this video. And if you go through install, I mean, it may be great, but then from my side, this is not an original Mac computers like it will be taking a bit of time. So what I would advise you to do on the other side would be to go to your browser and then look for Git on Google. But before we go there, because we are now on the terminal, let me show you something. So yeah, so as you can see in the bootcamp, you'll be exposed to what we call GitHub later on in the course. But the way we will be sharing our files, it will be through GitHub, and that's basically how you will download the lecture classes and the lecture slides and the code that we'll be writing here. So what we will do, we will definitely go into the Hyperion Dev link that will be shared with you. Hyperion Dev, we have Hyperion Dev Bootcamp. The whole link will be shared. So what we're doing here, we are in this particular bootcamp, GitHub bootcamp. This is a free website that will allow you to keep like a lot of code. So what you do, we will go into the 2024 commercial lecture pack, right? And may the name will eventually change, but the content will be the same. So you would see a couple of stuff like automated pull script. That folder will allow you to do a couple of stuff, but we won't go through all of that now. Uh, I'll do a separate video about that. What we are looking for is the starter pack, right? So I clicked on starter pack, and once again, it may look different on your side, but at the end of the day, you will be looking at literally the same thing. So this is Git. Git, this is the very first software we want to deal with. So I'm clicking on that, and basically I should see a particular page. If that page is not coming, let me refresh. All right, there we go. So this is basically Git, and what it does, it's just a very first way of us telling you what you'll be using in this whole bootcamp, and even outside the bootcamp when you'll be required to use GitHub. Now we have something. We want to install GitHub, and then our operating system here is Mac OS. And you see, it's sometimes installed, pre-installed, and for some of you, it may be pre-installed. But then if it's not pre-installed, then we want to use the brew command. So let's now go on there on the terminal and use the brew command. Brew install git. But then if you also don't want to install brew, to install with brew, there are multiple other ways to do that. You can also go to google.com, and then you basically say install Git, macOS, and then I go to download that, and you see it basically gives you the same command. So yeah, it's up to you, but then you at the end of the day, we want to install Git. So the command was brew install Git, right? And when I press enter, the brew is not found. So when you have these type of things, you basically want to install brew because some of you may have that installed, some not. So you say install brew Mac OS, all right? So you have maybe a website like this, brew, and you want to install brew. So what like you see what I've done, I basically went to Google and then I basically say, I don't have Brew, I have this particular error and I would like to install it. So it basically gives you a link that you copy. I just clicked on here to copy and then I go to the terminal, I right click and I paste the whole link, I mean the whole command, and then I press enter. And after that, it asks me for my password that I'm just putting in here. And yeah, you'll do a whole bunch of things. You just need to be patient in that. And yeah, so you will just have to wait. All right. So in the meantime, what I'll do, I'll just pause the video and then I'll come back when it's done. All right. There we go. As you can see, things were moving. And let me go back to where we were. Let me scroll back up. So we were somewhere here, and then apparently I put my wrong password, and it's doing all sort of things. And as you can see, it's installing Homebrew on here, and it's done. So now we have Brew installed or Homebrew installed, and then let me just type. Usually, I know you haven't been like exposed to the terminal yet for those who haven't, but then usually with the terminal, when you want to know what a particular query does or a particular keyword does, you basically go there and then you type in there that keyword, and then you should have a result that comes in, as opposed to what we are having initially. So we were having a big problem initially when we type in here brew, and then it says the command is not found, right? So now we type brew here, and then we can see that the command is found. So the next step now that the command is now found, we just install it. So what we need to do is to install Git, and I'm very sure that while it was installing that, Git got installed as well. So let's just try to see if Git is currently installed. So we type, or maybe we can clean up the screen. So what we usually do is to clear the screen to go back up. And what we do, we type in here Git, and we see that Git is actually installed, and that's basically it. As you can see, by installing Brew, you install Git as well. But then let's assume that you have Brew installed, but you do not have Git installed. So what we do, we'll do Brew install Git, tap enter, and then Git is already installed from what we've seen, but it will still try to run some downloads and try to install Git and all of those stuff. But you would see that it's now doing some few stuff because Brew is installed, and now we're trying to install Git. So while it's doing all that type of work, we just need to be patient and wait for this process to be done. So what we will do, we'll basically wait on that and see. All right, so you see installing Git dependency. It will do some other stuff as well. for that. Okay, so let's just be patient again and you'll see that. Okay, cool. So what I'll do again is I'll pause the video and then we'll come back when it's done. All right. So after waiting for a particular period of time, I'm saying that it got stuck here, but the fact of the matter is that you have Git installed. So if you install Brew, which eventually comes in the newer versions of Mac OSs, then you should have Git. Git should be already installed there. So what I will do, I'll press Control C. That's the usual set of commands on the terminal to cancel some actions. So if I press Control C multiple times, you can see that it's basically trying to do something here. So I'm basically stopping everything that's going on here, and then I don't want it to continue. So the aim is to just make sure that we have Git installed. So Git is that tool that will allow you to interact with another tool called GitHub, which is an online platform for developers where they store their code. In this case, yeah, so as you can see, it's done. It's basically, I mean, I decided to stop it. And then if I type in here Git, you can see we have a good response of Git being there. So you can see that we have multiple elements that will allow us to go forward. And again, you will learn Git. You will learn Git in this boot camp, but don't worry, this just allows you to be on time when you'll be going through that. Now, the next thing to do to actually check that you have Git installed, as you can see, we are here on the terminal. I can even close this. We are still in this homebrew page now. So if I go back to the GitHub page that we opened earlier, then we'll make use of this, right? So this basically allows us to pull a particular piece of code or something like that. But I'll kind of skip through a whole set of things just to make sure that we get to the final point of the video, which is actually pulling what we call a Git repository. So because we now have Git installed, we want to pull a Git repository. And a Git repository is something like this, where you have basically a set of files and folders that hold code and some of the documentation that we care of, or let's say we care about. Now, let's open the terminal. The way we open the terminal, you either go to the launchpad and you may have a different version of it. You may have a different version of it in the newer versions of Mac OSs. But then I come back here and then I type in here terminal. And I have the terminal. Now you see here, I need to pull a particular repository or clone a particular repository down to my computer. So what I need to do on the terminal, as you can see, I first of all need to check where this terminal is currently sitting at. So what we do print working directory to basically this command will tell you where the terminal is actually sitting at, where it's actually started. As you can see, we are on the folder here, Julian, right? So this is my personal folder. To see all the other files and folders that are within this particular folder, we'll type the command list ls. So as you can see, we have a couple of elements here. But if I want to get into the folder documents, then I cd or change directory into document. I type in here documents and I'm inside documents. If I type ls again, you would see that there shouldn't be, yeah, it basically asked me if I would like to allow that. Yes, I allow the system to get into my folders or to read into the folders. And we are here. We are in this folder documents, right? So all of that is to basically change the directory from where we were at the beginning to documents, the documents that will open very soon. So the next thing we do, and again, you will learn that through the lectures, the next thing we do on GitHub, you will look for this green icon here where we have code. You click on that, right? Okay, I'm not sure why it's not coming up. But then let me refresh the page. I click on this code. Okay, it's not showing up. It is fine, even if it's not showing up. I just want to get to a place where I have a whole URL and then it needs to have a .git at the end. And when you're on this type of page, then you just click on your bar here and you would see that you have a whole URL. So what I'll do, I'll take this whole URL. And you don't have to do all of that because for some reason I can't get to see what's happening under this code, but it's fine. There's always a solution. So what I will do, I'll now use the git command. So I'll do git, right? This is what I want to do. I want to download this folder in a way that I can use it or I can track it. I do git clone. That basically makes me pull the folder into my computer, and then I paste that link that I just downloaded. I mean that I just copied. Ooh, wrong link. I did not want to take this one. That's not exactly what I wanted. So I wanted this one. I copy this, and then I go to the terminal. I paste it here. Perfect. And then I put .git. So that will allow this one to tell that this is a Git repository, but then you won't have to actually do that one day because it will eventually work in your computer. So I press enter. So what it will do, it will actually clone the folder, pull the folder down to your computer, pull the whole repository to your computer so that you can make use of it. All right, so I'm done with this. Within the terminal, if I want to see which files and folders I have, I press again ls, and you would see that I have now the whole folder within my computer. But let's now close the terminal, and now let's basically put down the whole of this, right? And what we want to do, we basically want to go into that document folder where I have all those elements. So I go into documents. As you can see, I have this particular folder where I basically have everything that we saw on GitHub. So this is basically the end of our video, and that was basically telling you how to basically use Git, or let's say install Git first, install Brew if you don't have it in your MacBook, and make use of Git, right? And that's basically the first interaction you will have with Git, but then you would see it again during the lecture. So on that, I really hope that you've learned something, and I will definitely see you in another lecture. So good luck and happy coding. Bye.